Hello, my name is Katz. I'm a professional violinist and a student in the Promus Programs 2020 at the University Federal of Rio de Janeiro. In this video, I will demonstrate some of my research processes for my dissertation titled Violinistic Challenges of Villa-Lobos' Bachianas Brasileiras, numbers 3 and 4, a proposal for stylistic, interpretive, and technical solutions. My objectives for the Jornada number 8 are to present my dissertation outline developed in the second semester, demonstrate some of the research processes from chapters 3 and 4, and to conclude, also share a revised violin part with dynamics and articulations from the Villa-Lobos CD recording. The objectives of my research projects are to revise the first and second violin parts by correcting errors of wrong and absent notes and rhythms, and also to find missing and conflicting dynamics and articulations. After this, I will develop a reflection on interpretative and technical aspects of the two works. This will be presented in the format of a handbook to help orchestral violinists, students, and conductors. In this slide is my table of contents that outlines my project. Please follow along while I read it for you. Historical contextualization, Villa-Lobos and the Bachianas Brasileira. Problem, Museu Villa-Lobos violin parts and Academia Brasileira da Música violin parts. Solution, recording. The Museu Villa-Lobos orchestral scores, piano scores, and CD from EMI. Bachianas Brasileiras 3, wrong and or missing notes and rhythms, lack of dynamics and articulations, and conflict of dynamics and articulations. Bachianas Brasileiras 4, again the same, wrong and or missing notes and rhythms, lack of dynamics and articulations, and conflict of dynamics and articulations. And finally, personal notes, technical and interpretative, references, annexes, and appendices. Now I will go into a little more detail about my research processes, beginning with Bachianas 3 from the chapter 3 of my table of contents. There are no printed violin parts for the Bachianas 3, just manuscripts. And the Museu Villa-Lobos was very kind to share with me via PDF the manuscripts. I also took a I took a printed manuscript that had some handwritten changes in ink to verify those changes. In the solution, the material is the same, the recording orchestra score and two piano score, the Villa-Lobos manuscript, the Museum of Villa-Lobos manuscript orchestra score and two piano score, and the Villa-Lobos recording. Now I will begin my examples. The problem will always represent the violin part, and the solution will come from all the material. And in the end, I will demonstrate with the CD recording of that section of Villa-Lobos. In this first example, the first violins have a D natural, and the second bar is indicated by the arrow. And it has been corrected and verified that it's a B flat. I want to note that this correction was one of the inked changes in the performance part. The problem in this example, as indicated by the arrow, is the note F sharp, changed by hand. Yet in all of the scores, the note is F natural, including the CD recording. The note E natural in the first violin part is also in the orchestra scores. However, in the solution from the two piano score has a note E flat. The first half of the bar has an E flat, as does the second half. It is orchestrated for the second violins and then the first violins. This is an an example of the first and second violin parts that are in unison with the solo piano. For 15 bars, they play the same notes except for the three notes, E, D, E, and A and B, A, B. None of the orchestra or scores, piano scores have this correction. It is only in the CD recording. This is another handwritten change in the first violins, and it appears twice. The four notes that are circled, E, G, E, G, is actually in all the orchestra scores and piano scores an E, A, E, G, and also in the recording. In chapter 4, titled Bachianas 4, I will continue to demonstrate my findings of wrong and or missing notes. This time, the music I use as the problem is from the Academia Brasileira da Música. It is printed music and much easier to read than the manuscripts from the Bachianas 3. This solution material is the same, the recording scores, Villa-Lobos Museum manuscript scores, and also the manuscript violin parts, and again, the CD recording. In this example from the second violins, this is from the first movement of the Bachianas 4. It's for only 4 strings, and it's played in various places in the first movement, but this one time in these two measures, it's missing the 2-note chord, as you can see here circled. Again, from the second violin part, this is in the third movement. And in these two measures, it's repeated various times throughout the movement. And every time, it says in here in the problem, as indicated by the arrow, it's an E flat. But actually, it is an E natural. It's just, again, in this one bar, it was not put in. Here in the middle of this pizzicato section, there is an 8th note rest. It is not in any of the solution material. In this example of repeated 3-note patterns, a sudden change from the G flat, B flat, C to G flat, B natural, C, as indicated by the arrow, is not in the recap. Although in the this is in the recording scores, the solo piano has G flat, B flat, C in both the beginning and in the recap. Honestly, it's too fast for me to be able to tell what the notes are. In this example, the notes, instead of ascending as printed, descend in the first violin parts. In this example, the 8BA, actually in the score, recording score, the manuscript violin part and the recording does not have the 8, but I'm not sure about this. Actually, in the recording, you hear this, it just repeats. It does a 1 octave third scale and then repeats it again. I have also researched the Bachianas dynamics and articulation, and as with the previous category, I will continue this work in the upcoming semester. Now I would like to share with you 3 examples from the first movement of Bachianas 4, the first violin part. There is a lack of dynamics and of articulations that are not in any of the solution materials except for the CD. I found there a clearer idea of what possibly the composer would want. In this first example, which is a beautiful linear melody, he breaks it up by slurring 2 eighth notes, separating an eighth note, then putting a tie on the next eighth note, and then in the fourth beat, which is the weakest beat of the bar, he makes a big single note, and happens for the first 3 bars. Sometimes I've seen this solution to make it more linear, but actually in the recording, he does do his bowing, and on top of it, the fourth beat, which is the weakest, he puts a little tenuto on it. In this ABM part, and actually all the material, there was only one dynamic in this whole section, a piano, but yet it ascends and goes quite high for the violin, and with no indication of what to do, except play piano. It does not make sense. I did listen to the recording, and he had full of things that he did with it. Here again, the fourth beats, like the beginning, have a little tenuto, crescendos, mezzo fortes, hairpins, forte. Here is the recording. In this last example, which is the high point of the first movement, there is 2 bars before this, a crescendo, and way before that, there's nothing but that piano. And so we have this forte that then descends, and but no diminuendo, and then suddenly a piano. And 2 beats before that, we do have a rallentando. In the recording, there is a crescendo, and immediately he does his rallentando. He slows down right away. The following bar adds the diminuendo that then takes us down to that piano at the end of the phrase. Here is a copy of the ABM part. You can see that it has mezzo fortes. He likes mezzo forte. Some pianos, a few indications, but when you compare it to what he did in his performance on the CD, there's quite a bit more. There's the tenutos in the violin solo, and in the lower line for violins later, and hairpins, fortes, crescendos, a lot more detail of possibly an interpretation. I will end out my PowerPoint by playing this section for you. And I thank you for your time and for the privilege of being able to do